Okay, that's cool.
It says we're live.
Yeah, I've hit a new low whereby I have to say the words "Thank you, Internet Explorer." How's it going? Double the whiskey, double the Wotan.
I'm just processing that still. Hang on. Sorry, it's taking me a second to pass out the fact that you had to rely on IE to get this right.
This is why I drink.
Only this. Oh man. All
Amongst
right.
other reasons.
Yeah, no kidding. Okay, YouTube says we are live, and I'm just going to make absolutely positively sure that yes, we're live. Okay.
I feel like I should apologize to the one person that commented in our last.
Oh shit! Is that chat's open, right? I think like other people can hop in there.
Like one person was like hello, and then no, and we never said anything.
Oh, dude, whoever that was. Sorry, we honestly didn't see it.
We like legit was just a mistake.
Yeah. We're honestly not too cool to ignore people in chats yet. That's. I think once you get up to like 1,000 people plus watching, then you can legitimately say, no, we didn't see your message. Okay, hang on. I'm going to make absolutely positively sure now that we don't miss another one. So I should be able.
Won't it like double feedback with the live?
No, I was going to switch this to live chat, and there should be a pop out button. Hey, Conscious, are you watching? Chat expropriated. Yes. The chat has been expropriated. No, I went to the actual YouTube channel and popped out that chat because this little sidebar is only for the Hangout. It's not actually for the YouTube part. I'm still still figuring this shit out. But I think, Conscious, are you listening while you play Age of Empires? Okay. Well, that's fine. It's not like you have to watch anyway. This being legitimately the worst tech podcast ever.
I know. To be well, it took us fucking 15 minutes to figure out how to.
No. That's fake news. We meant to start at exactly 10 to 8, and everything else is fake news.
Fake news.
We absolutely intended on you using Internet Explorer because Chrome doesn't work.
This is the most bad. This is why I drink. This is why I drink, by the way. Hashtag whiskey Wotan.
Oh, man. There is actually a tech thing which we can bring up and then completely ignore because I don't know that it affects either of us.
Okay.
This is Facebook data breach. There was, it's just like the most widely reported one that I'm ignoring now.
Really? I'm more interested in Red Dead Redemption 2 being so realistic that the horse's testicles shrink when it's cold. I think that's technology worth discussing.
That's technology gone too far. Like,
no, I think that's technology worth discussing. Let's discuss that. Like horse testicles shrinking when it.
Fuck the data breaches. It's 27 million people. That doesn't really matter.
Fuck him. Let's talk about testicles shrinking, horse testicles shrinking in the winter.
Okay, so now that's a real thing, right? Just someone actually coded that in.
Yes, somebody went through let's assume, okay. I'm making a couple of assumptions here, but let's say you probably went through about 4 years of computer science school, or have at least a few, or at least have like 4 or 5 years of just plain old experience in the industry, or something. You're not an idiot. Like game developers don't take on total greenhorns all the time. So this is what you've expended this finite amount of your life on to train up, and your task is to now simulate the mathematical principles behind weather and horse testicles. Go. Mom and dad are so proud.
What I want to know is, did they consult a veterinarian or did they do their own research on YouTube? Because I've got questions for both. None of them good.
That is a fair question.
Yeah, because if it's YouTube research, that's actually the scarier one. Like, I'd rather they consulted with a horse veterinarian and asked them how horses behave. But no, I mean, they must have... Hang on, did they motion capture the horses? Or did they just... Can you imagine a horse in a mocap suit? Sorry, I need to look this up now. Oh my God, it's a thing. Okay, so you can motion capture horses, and I'm presuming that as part of that, you could do some research into but horse testicles. Yeah, that's a thing. That's where we are.
That's cool. That's
yeah,
cool.
Yeah. It's like we can live with that. I mean, I want to know how much extra disk space that took up, though, because the game is apparently enormous.
Well, that's the other thing, right? So here's my contention that in terms of software development in general, the general pace of hardware capability is starting to make developers lazy.
Oh, yes. No, for sure.
Because bandwidth is cheaper, memory is cheaper and more plentiful, hard drive spaces, everything hardware related is more plentiful and far cheaper. And now we're just like, who gives a shit how much memory this subroutine takes? Who gives a shit? Because
no, so like here's my old 128 gig SSD. This was in my computer for 3 years. It worked perfectly fine. Windows ended up taking most of the space.
My camera worked perfectly fine until today. So
exactly, until you had to use IE because Chrome wouldn't load. But here's something insane, right?
Okay, let me put on my tinfoil hat.
Oh, okay.
Yeah.
Okay, is your tinfoil hat on? Can I?
Yeah.
So after about 3 years of normal operation, Windows accumulated about 10 gigs for itself, then about 25 gigs for side-by-side updates, and each of my profiles on my machine came to 25 gigs. So all told, it took me 80 gigs just to get the operating system running, and then there was still my programs on top of that. So my hard drive was perpetually 1 gig remaining for like the last 6 months. I was constantly moving stuff off. And part of that is the Windows side-by-side paradigm. So like the first version of Windows, it was like maybe 5 or 6 people working on it, and they had to make the whole thing fit into like, 2 floppy disks. Today, I'm pretty sure that they've got so many people working on it that they can't afford to have everyone commit down to the same branch. So every update just keeps every DLL from every other update forever in your.
Oh, okay.
It's called Windows side-by-side. It's the folder that just every update you install, it installs the update, and then it keeps all the old stuff that it just installed, like that it replaced. So it just keeps going. It's ridiculous. It's absolutely ridiculous.
That just sounds like a really badly intentioned, like day one programmer's solution. Like,
I remember,
like it's terrible. But anyway,
there was a guy once who he was what did he do? He was on the team that did the start button for Vista, which is already like a sequence of words, which is depressing. But he quit Microsoft and then wrote an article like a few months later about how it took 9 months for a commit that he made to the start button to make it all the way back into master. And this was before Windows 7. So now that it's Windows 10, it's anyone's guess just how chaotic it is.
Fuck.
Can you imagine? Wow. Can you imagine?
That's just wow.
And then Apple just, do they really, it feels like they rewrite a lot of this stuff for like every new generation of hardware. I
think Apple's new slogan should be, you're just going to buy it anyway. Fuck you, you're going to buy it. That's Apple's slogan. I like just caracal. Oh shit, the Spanish just built a wonder.
Oh yeah, so he's
as opposed to the real life Spanish who are somewhat beleaguered at this moment economically. So
oh shit. I want to talk beleaguered. So while you were trying to get your webcam fixed, I was on Twitter and I would say this is the most depressing headline I've ever read, but I know for a fact there'll be worse ones next week. So I've just given up. But sorry.
It's a defense mechanism. That's why you've detached from caring on those.
I have detached from caring because I know that this is not the end. I'm going to share this out because I don't even want to read it. I've already read it.
BBC issues ally badges to heterosexual staff who promote LGBT issues in a... Oh, fuck me. Sideways. In a bid to tackle its
heteronormative culture. Okay. So, okay, sure. I mean,
Okay.
So I have to start my thoughts with.
I'm going to assume their best intentions on this.
No, for sure. It's like, having worked with British and the sort that work in offices, they're generally very nice people. I know that they mean well, but also, are you serious?
There's a very big.
I just no, and like the thing that I find funny about this is that there's been some rattling about the heteronormative culture at the BBC, which sure make people wear badges. That's not like weird or Hitleresque at all. What I find funny,
yeah, that's the thing. Like, I feel like we've been around this block before.
We have. I'm convinced.
I think you know what the reason is. Okay, I've realized now the majority of humans, the reason we keep repeating mistakes is, okay, like in math class where you had some kids who scored well on one test and then bombed out on the next one. And that's because they memorized sort of the formulae or the answers to certain sums, but they had no real understanding behind division or behind, let's say, the Pythagorean theorem and how it applies and isosceles, etc. So in that same token, I think that people memorize, okay, this badge on your shoulder, the swastika badge is bad. They don't memorize the concept behind that, the underlying concept of, it's not that it's a swastika badge, it's that it's this identifying thing. Yeah. You must be this. That's why we keep repeating the mistake.
So in this case, it's not that the LGBT people are wearing the badge, it's all the people that are not LGBT to show support. But you only have to think about it for about 10 seconds to realize anyone who has a problem with it won't wear the badge, and that will be what singles them out. So it's like, good luck with your workplace culture. But more than that, and this is the part that I personally find like the best out of this whole article, is the complaint that there were concerns about gay men were the most visible members of the community and they had to diversify that. So I found that pretty funny. Because
okay, so now you're having quotas on how many...
yes, but also...
Okay, but do you understand why that's okay?
But also, you have quotas in a system where you're constantly inventing new labels, meaning that there is never an equilibrium. Ever.
I feel like at this point we're having this podcast just to destroy what's left of my hairline. From the stress and the face palming.
But I want to see how this plays out, though, because it's like I commend the BBC for like doing what is objectively a stupid thing, just so we can see what happens. I really want to see what happens. So anyway, this is what happens when you don't start the podcast on time. I go and find depressing news.
Okay, but for once we can actually blame Google Chrome instead of blaming. Internet Explorer, which only further proves that the simulation is breaking down.
Dude, the simulation is getting bizarre. So Kanye West was in the White House.
I love it. That was great. That was just, I couldn't. Like, in my head, like, I just want to see like Donald like to Melania, like, Melania, Kanye's coming. Better make sure you got like the good treats out. Hang up all the basketball hangers.
And then it wasn't.
What kind of shoes does he like? Nike? Oh, Adidas? Yeah. Okay, Melania, hang those up.
So Kanye went to the White House, and okay, sure. I mean, Elvis Presley went to the White House once. I can handle that.
I'm sorry, the White House lost its esteem the day JFK was porking Marilyn Monroe in the Oval Office. Let's stop pretending there was esteem after that. Like,
there was worse shit before. Like, it's never been a beacon of morality, not once.
Like, and it's sad because I think it was Jefferson that said who inscribed the inscription on the side of the Oval Office that says, "Let none but good and wise men occupy this office." Well, I'm sorry, bud, but that only lasted so damn long.
So anyway, so Kanye met Trump, and I'm like, okay, cool. This stuff happens.
I love it.
It's not that he met Trump. It's that this is what CNN said about it like 20 minutes later. And That's legit.
Didn't I get suspended for tweeting something like that? Didn't I get suspended for tweeting? In fact, ask Conscious Caracal. Shout out to Conscious Caracal. I got suspended for tweeting something with that exact word in it. Literally. Literally. And the best part of this is by Craig Bannister, a white man. Me, a black man, I cannot say the word hood, but he can. He can in this article.
So I don't even want to say it, but it's like it was a panelist on the show, and then it's just like they didn't like stop the guy or shut him down or nothing. And I just like the phrase "token Negro of the White House." I can't imagine anything more demeaning, like on so many levels, to call someone. And I just, man, I can't process this. But anyway, this is now the simulation wobbles even further, right?
Yeah,
dude. Oh my God, CNN's going to start a race war. That's we're going to be here to watch it.
Okay, well, it's either that. There's one of two things that could start a race war in America, at least.
Right.
Okay. Either CNN finally just fucks it up too far, right? They just finally go over there. Or Denzel Washington marries a white woman. Guarantee that'll start a race war. Because I tweeted something to this effect. I said, like, what most white girls I've ever met, they're like, I'm not really into black guys, but you know, Denzel. I'm like, yeah, okay. If Denzel Washington marries a white woman, done. Race war.
Is that what you're calling it? Okay.
It's done.
So I've seen a couple of cultural commentators kind of indicate that next year, the next big thing is going to be that Kim Kardashian will leave Kanye West and suddenly out of nowhere talk up a whole bunch of abuse that she suffered and try and become like the next feminist icon. There's like, that might happen.
Ooh, spicy prediction.
I know. It's not my prediction. I can't take credit. It's someone else who pointed out that in the last couple of weeks, like these hints have been going out that this might be where the narrative goes, which is going to be interesting. Because I reckon the Dems are going to do whatever they can to isolate Kanye now, obviously.
They need that blue wave to come through. It's not that they want a blue, they need a blue wave.
There's no blue wave.
That's the realistic situation.
The one quote that will always stick out for me was some analyst on MSNBC, like, we need to impeach Trump, otherwise in Whiteman next election. It's like, do you not realize that's how the system works? And you know what the sucky thing, right? So like over many, many years, I've made a lot of friends in the States across both kind of sides of the spectrum. It's the yeah, exactly. It's the sort of the left-leaning, socially minded people that are having the worst time reconciling the fact that they live in a country with other people that just think differently to them to such a profound degree.
Shock. Oh, I know. My God, these people think differently.
I know. But it was crazy, like, because I just remember, like, the weeks after Trump was elected, it was like somebody had died in everyone's family at once, and people were just mourning, like, the loss of America. And I'm like, dude, you still have your job in your city where everyone thinks like you. You're not really going to feel this. You'll be fine. But people are just they couldn't handle it.
I mean, even on a county level, right? There's a lot of states that are very blue, but they're only very blue because of larger. New York is a beautiful example of a state that is very blue, technically. Like, you know, the Democrat's going to win. Like, the Republican there is just a sacrificial lamb, right? It's to get biblical about it, right? I'm personally hoping Larry Sharpe wins as the Libertarian, but
okay.
Just so I can have my weed fields and AK-47s. But I probably shouldn't say it on the internet during college applications. But anyway.
No, what's that phrase? Like, I want gay men to protect their weed plants with guns. Like, that's
all I want. That's all I want. But like, if you look just anywhere in New York, outside of New York City itself, and also, by the way, how few people on planet Earth know that New York is a state and a city, and that the capital of New York State is not New York City, but is rather Albany.
I know.
It is bright red. If you factor out New York City, it is bright red.
It is. Yeah, and it's also like what I want to see, and I think we'll see this in our lifetimes, is an analysis of like how the way the news media actually impacts people and what they consume and where they consume it, because the people in the more connected regions that get stuff constantly on like smart devices and on their phones, they all seem to think a very different way than the people that live in the rural areas on slower connections and read the news maybe like once every 2 or 3 days. It's almost like we've got like people run at different paces mentally. It's kind of where we are now. But yeah, that Kanye thing also vanished from the news cycle very quickly. It was there for like 3 hours maybe, and then it just vanished.
It did. Oh, one of our friends is
Mitchell Wongho. Hola. Hola, señor. Those are the 2 words of Spanish that I've learned so far.
one of the only people that actually said hi in our chat before.
Oh, was it you? Hi. This time I've got you on my screen. I will not miss another message. Oh, dude. So anyway, this is supposed to be a tech podcast, but I can't. The most depressing thing to date is that I've had to replace my hard drive in Ubuntu. So in case
I will not have you down talk Ubuntu in my presence.
No. Ubuntu was great after I fixed all the drivers. No, the weird part was the system would physically.
At least you're not a filthy mint peasant.
Yeah, I mean, I know I have standards though. Like even though
I've just pissed off like 3 people on the internet who still boot up modern versions of Mint.
But Mint was pretty, but
I'm going to buy a ticket to South Africa and find this guy. Okay, yeah. Buddy.
Nah, but no, it was just like kind of pro tip. It turns out that if you use the wrong USB port, the flash drive won't even let you boot up the environment to install Ubuntu in. I learned that the hard way. USB 3 physically doesn't work. So anyway, I've got Ubuntu now, and it works. And I was quite pleased to find that there was Spotify on the App Store, and that also worked after I installed some dodgy third-party drivers from GitHub, but let's not go there.
Let's not shoot down GitHub.
Well, it's Microsoft GitHub now. Oh, for fuck's sake. I'll share this out because this has been the biggest thing out of that meeting.
Yes.
InfoSec Kanye West with his pin code, fucking 7,400 likes.
I'm pretty sure the iPhone he's using has a thumbprint scanner.
Yeah, or like Face ID or whatever, but you have to type in the zeros. And so already what I love is that this has divided the sort of the community I follow, because half of the people think, no, he's really stupid to use that code. The other half are thinking he's a genius because that's not his actual code. He just said that for that meeting because he knew it'd be on camera. And so now there's this new civil war about whether or not he's an InfoSec genius. But there you have it.
In terms of InfoSec, by the way, the most recent brilliant one I saw is a WhatsApp post I got was from FYI girls, and they're like, girls, if you need to get into your man's phone, just use his driver's license and press his driver's license to the fingerprint scanner on his phone. For those of you who are not from the Republic of South Africa, we have our driver's licenses imprinted onto we have our fingerprints on our driver's licenses. The problem with that is you're assuming that the same finger that's on his driver's license is on his phone, and you're also assuming that the gloss of the driver's license, the gloss of the driver's license will not interfere with scanning the phone.
But also, aren't you assuming that the reader is optical and not electrochemical? Because how the fuck can you scan plastic? Yeah,
so there's a lot of assumptions here.
There's a lot, yeah.
Oh, I actually do have some tech stuff. My tech senpai finally followed me back and noticed me.
Congrats.
Marlene Yakel and even favorited and retweeted some of my tweets.
So things are getting serious.
And followed me back. As serious as it can get with a totally married woman, but whose marriage and whose reputation I respect to the end of the earth. But if she ever listens to this podcast, aangenaam gekennis, Marlene, thank you. And yeah.
Gooi dat Afrikaans, nee? It's a big
Well, I'm from Pretoria, so yeah.
Oh, dude, have you seen that? Someone screen capped a voice message from a WhatsApp about this guy who's a pure cyclist in Johannesburg, slagging off some dude who rode an e-bike.
Oh, yes. Wait, hold on. First, we need to get into the memes of the week.
So, they memes? Good.
Thank you, Conscious Caracal, for reminding us. My meme pick of the week is the NPC meme.
Yes.
NPC meme is the greatest thing that has come up in ages. It's just, it's so beautiful. And, you know, for me, from sort of a STEM perspective, I look at it in terms of, it's basically a self-sustaining endothermic reaction. It takes in the heat energy of the anger of the SJWs, and it takes the products, it takes the reactants and produces what it produces. And it's beautiful. Like,
so
and the fact that certain people are getting angry at that meme proves the fucking meme. NPC.
This is my absolute favorite version of the meme. Just like any right-wing statement, why? And then the meme takes a frame to get angry. Like, yeah, to process. But the interesting thing about this meme is that, you know, like bots became a thing, right? I mean, there was a point where social media wasn't political. And then Obama used it to help win the White House. And then suddenly it became mainstream politics. And then there were bots, which is automated programs. And then there are people that are like bots because they don't think. So I love that this is here now because it completely explains these people.
It's beautiful. It's beautiful.
It's like,
check the chat. Noscript Show.
Oh, you know what, Conscious? I will do that. How do I do it?
Yeah.
There we go. Done. Oh, man. No, it's the NPC meme is good, for sure. There's also it's on the rounds. There's one with I think it's Taylor Swift where they edited the meme face out, and it's like, greetings, I am celebrity. Here's my ID number. I believe in everything. Like,
I'd still hit low key though. Low key, I'd still hit. I'd still hit it. I'd still hit it. Low key.
Well, sure. I mean,
I'd still hit it.
NPCs are there for side quests. That's the whole point.
So we just basically made sexual conquests a side quest, which is basically what The Witcher is.
But
the
there
Witcher
was
series is NPCs as sexual.
No, but there was this whole. It lasted for about 2 weeks. There was this whole meme about, you know, like some saucy picture and then like some Roman emperor photoshopped on top of it, and it's like, you know, this is temporary. Rome is eternal. Let me find it. Hang on.
Women are temporary. Sick. Your sick code is eternal, fam.
Here it is. So if you want to talk side quests, it was like this one. The glory of Rome is the main quest.
The glory of Rome is indeed the main quest.
Your Conscious is hitting us to links here. Oh, hang on. These are all NPC ones. Let's check this out. All right, so let's check the sort of the pre-reactionary one. Yep. You know what? This actually describes a proper pattern that I've seen on Twitter in real life. You know, you say a dumb thing.
Can we actually turn this into an algorithm? Like, call it the blue check algorithm. Blue check virtue signaling algorithm.
There must be a way to determine it.
There must be a blue check virtue signaling algorithm. There must be.
Just to find the tweets, because they're probably all good tweets.
I guarantee you can make it.
So you know what, Conscious, I'm trusting you. I'm opening these up without previewing them on the stream. So let's see what comes up.
Jimmy Kimmel, the guy who was on the Man Show and used to play Guess What's in My Pocket. Thank you, Jimmy Kimmel.
Here's the one. Yes. I believe in everything that is safe and popular with people aged 18 to 35. That is the Yep. You know what? What's crazy? This is not false. Like with
I know. I was in New York about this time last year. So
yeah, there's what's that new one? Last Week Tonight with John Oliver. Like the first couple of episodes they did, it was a rent-a-crowd that they brought in there, and they
whiskey.
Go for it, dude. You. I'm having a sugar-free energy drink, but I don't need it. I'm already stumbling my words.
It's been a long week for me.
No kidding.
It has been a difficult mating season for Bird Person.
It has it been many moons.
It's been a difficult mating season for Wotan Person.
Oh, that's sad. But unfortunately, I don't provide those sorts of services live on the internet in front of other viewers. I think that's what you got to go back to your other Chrome for.
Ayo.
Oh, shit. Speaking of, isn't there meant to be like a new season of Rick and Morty at some point?
Oh, is there?
Yeah. Because...
Oh, there is one more piece of tech I actually have to talk about.
Okay.
Aside from once again being noticed by my tech senpai, it was the new facelift on the new A-Class, which just broke my heart completely.
Oh, no.
Because I'm an unashamed Merc fanboy. Let me put that out in the thing. And Google PBS, look at the logo.
Don't look at it and then present. Okay. So just PBS. Okay, I'll do this. You know what? I am up for your challenge. Before I do that, I just wanted to check season. Where is season 4? So hang on, we've had 3 seasons already. Good Christ.
That's the thing that happens.
Oh, okay. So hang on. They announced a long-term deal, but nothing yet. Okay, cool. Because I need more of them. Okay, so just Google PBS. Okay. I'm
NPC logo.
I'm not seeing.
Its logo is an NPC, basically.
But they've had that before. You're not going to catch me out that way. No, that is PBS's logo for a little bit.
Although I will tinfoil hat this, that I got a temporary ban on Twitter, and suddenly, like, my Google Chrome account just doesn't work with the camera. This is just.
I saw on Twitter today.
This is the fault of the globalist lizard men who have.
Hey, I like the idea of lizard men running.
Globalist lizard men and the what's the usual wreck of things?
It's
the globalist, the lizard man, the cultural Marxist, yeah.
No, it's the NPCs and the robots. No, I saw on Twitter today 2 people that I follow both had a conversation with each other, but half the responses were missing whenever I looked at the thread. And it's like, that's a very weird and very specific bug. So I think I should make a tinfoil hat for my next show. Just put it on. Just in case they can read my brains.
But yeah, the other tech thing was the new A-Class. And I preface that as being an unashamed Mercedes-Benz fanboy.
What the fuck is that? Sorry, I don't mean to.
What a Mercedes fanboy is somebody who's an unashamed stan of Mercedes.
No, I'm looking at a photo for the new. Is that's a very rounded front end.
I don't like it. I don't like it compared to the previous. And I mean, I do drive an A-Class. Exactly in that, I do drive a white A-Class, and I absolutely despise that new shape. I just they offered me a test drive in that new. I was like, no, thank you. No, I'm good. I'll stick with this one. Fuck you.
The A-Class that you're driving, then what model is that? Just for
A200 CDI.
I just want to get a comparison going here. Oh, it's like this one over here.
Yes, in white.
Okay. Yeah, that's you know what? It looks like a licked ice cream cone by comparison.
Thank you. It just I'm just so ashamed of it now. Like,
but it can't be like they can't care that much about aerodynamics though. Like, why would they? No, you know what? The old A-Class was good enough. This is yeah, I am sorry for your loss.
No, I'm fine with my current one. I'm just gonna wait for them to not have a shitty facelift, and then I'll buy the next version.
Dude, I'm waiting for Apple to produce a non-shitty MVP, and I think I'm gonna wait forever.
And also, I suppose that makes me like a stereotypical black man who drives a Mercedes in South Africa. I went to a private school and drives a Merc. And
no, it's only stereotypical if you paid for it by looting a bank of depositor funds.
No, I paid for it with investments I made in my stock market accounts and in my current account.
Oh my God, you mean the white supremacist stock market?
Yes,
dude. Oh my God,
my white supremacist stock market and in my
somebody posted,
and in my bonds, all that shit. Because as it turns out, investment is a long-term game.
Who would have thought?
Whatever thing you do, investment is a long-term game.
Somebody posted, and I need to read this out because I can't deal with it. Where was it?
Did they post towards the show or?
No, not this. We're not there yet. No, just somebody tweeted about the VBS thing about, you know, the kind of the knee-jerk defense is, oh, they're going after the only black bank. Because someone tweeted out this, and
I'm sorry, I just have to point out, I just got a message from my friend. Sorry, yeah. Whoa.
So how many billions of rands do white-owned banks give to their white clients? I am a white client of 3 different banks. None of them have ever given me billions. I would like to know, where do I sign up for the billions? Do you know? Because I would love to get free money.
I'm going to get very brutally honest with you at this. And my brother and I have had this discussion for some time. Yes. There is this concept of sort of first world corruption whereby, yeah, your cousin still gets the job, but at least he does the job properly. You know, like in the US, if your friend or your whatever gets a defense contract, whatever, at least you do the job properly. And in China, if you get caught for corruption, you get executed by firing squad or whatever. But here, I mean, my mom's an auditor, so
you have some insight here.
I have some horrendous insight. I'm not going to name any details, obviously, online that'll identify anyone. But yeah.
Like the EFF will send assassins after you. Like, honest to God, no details, but keep it vague.
But, you know, there's a certain, I'd almost be okay with corruption if the RDP house you built did not, I mean, as a personal story, you know, like our housekeeper for my cousin's house here in Pretoria, you know, she worked a couple of years. We bought her a house out in her, as the Americans say, hood and all that, RDP house, title, all that. Except she didn't get the title because you don't get the title to an RDP house. And the roof caved in within like fucking 3 weeks.
Oh, no.
3 weeks. So it goes back to the philosophical question of who's worse? You know, the guys that do this to the thing or the liberators who then make their own people suffer. You steal everything from your own people. You make them live in the most abject positions. You provide them housing which caves in. You provide them water that's contaminated. It's yeah, but I won't go too far down that path.
Yeah, it sounds like a sad rabbit hole. Yeah,
it is something that I have.
Because the thing that's
emotional crazy, stock in.
I can picture that. I'm surprised to hear that people don't get title deeds to RDP houses. I thought the deal was that you got the house and everything, lock, stock, and barrel.
No, you don't get to own an RDP house.
What? You see, okay, that's new information. But also they've slowed down on building them. And you can tell because every year on the budget speech, they always say, since 1994, we did this. So,
I mean, I guess shout out to the 4 watching now.
Yeah,
the 2 that have actually commented.
My sincere condolences to everyone watching. So Conscious, this should be the stream thumbnail. I saw that. Yes, you know what? Have you seen Noscript?
I have, and so, I think it's glorious. It's a glorious, like.
So this is kind of tech. So for those of you who don't know what Noscript is, it's a flavor of Python that compiles down using, for example, this is amazing, no floating
huge
because America never does anything halfway. We have fact and lie instead of true and false. All programs at the end of America is great. It's like, here's a sample of Noscript, which looks like the kind of thing Trump would say. So there was Noscript, but what I really want is NPC script. So this is what Conscious just posted. The sort of the NPC programming language with with all the little in references and sort of meta memes. But somebody should put together an NPC script to kind of describe how to program a bot to be politically correct. I definitely think that would be a good project.
This is actually a tempting thing to throw together. NPC. Should we not like?
I would do it.
Let's do it, bro. Like at 100,000 viewers, let's make NPC script.
Because the thing is, bots are a thing, right? And there's bot frameworks for Telegram, Microsoft, whatever. So why not build an NPC bot language, like a DSL just for this? I'm tempted to. And no, Conscious, I have not signed up for the billion loan plan. Although, much to my irritation, every single time I log into FNB, they pitch me at least 2 different credit products every time. It's like, I don't know how many times I can say no. So there is that. But yeah, coming back to that whole corruption point,
it is a bitterly painful point for me. To be totally honest, it is bitterly painful.
I know, and I get that. It's like I guess my thing is the competence factor. Like in this case, there's nothing wrong. Like the way the VBS thing is unfolding, people are attacking like the criticism of it as if, black people can't run banks, which is nonsense, absolute nonsense.
Criticism is that you destroyed untold lives, and untold lives of the very people you said you were going to liberate. That is the criticism. But
that's also, it's like the people, for as long as I can remember, people have been saying, eventually, it's just going to go the way of like the rest of Africa. And then we keep saying, no, it won't. People are civilized and decent, and we have good laws and good structures. But then this happens, Despite the PFMA, which was supposed to stop the municipalities from being able to do this, they just fucking did it anyway. They put most of that money in. Despite KPMG auditing them, I mean, if they don't follow
KPMG, they're so trustworthy. KPMG is like that girlfriend that's cheated on you at least 3 times, and somehow you take her back because she has a fantastic waistline, and she does somersaults like a madman.
She pays for that waistline by stealing from poor people, because I don't fucking understand how KPMG is still in business at this point. I don't get it. That's maddening. Like to me, it's like all the systems were in place and they just fucking did it anyway. Like, I mean, what's the point now? That's the part that makes me sad.
It almost makes me wish for like a techocracy.
Yeah. But yeah, centralize everything, put it on Bitcoin, see where that goes.
No. Just like a tech, or like the most technically capable people rise the ranks. It almost makes me wish for that.
We had that, and then they brought Nene back, and then he quit a second time because he's the only one with any integrity.
It almost makes me wish for Plato's. I know Conscious is gonna point out to this. Was it Plato or?
It depends if it's Plato. What is this? No, it's Aristotle versus
Plato. Sorry, Plato hated the idea of democracy. Aristotle hated the idea of democracy because he made it this sort of allegory of people on a ship. And when you say, if you're going somewhere on a ship, do you elect just anybody that you like, or do you elect the most capable people? And you say the most capable people. And okay, well, how do you know who the most capable people are? Just the people you like, or do you actually know anything about ship sailing? Do you know anything about building a nation? Do you know anything about ship sailing? It builds into this sort of allegory of, if in order to be able to vote, you have to do something about nation building, economy, military tactics. even because we have this thing, and this is what I love about a lot of Isaac Arthur's videos as a physicist. He says, we have this thing of looking down on our ancestors, the Greeks, the Romans, every civilization before us, the freaking Indus Valley, whoever, wherever. But what we fail to realize is that the people from those civilizations knew a great deal more about their general world than we do, because they had to. And it almost makes you think there should be a license or knowledge level for voting.
I think I mentioned that last time. Immigrants to a country have to pass a citizenship test, which includes knowledge of their actual civil infrastructure.
I literally know more about the entire American justice system, the branches of government, than most average Americans, and I'm still not an American citizen.
It wrecks you.
How insane is that?
But that's why it's true that immigrants build America, because they're the ones that have to be of a certain standard before they can even get in.
As Michio Kaku said, the H-1B1 visa built America.
Yeah.
Because it wasn't for those immigrants who screwed.
Conscious is messaging us. So tomorrow at 8, you interview psychologist Kenton Ferrer. I'm looking forward to that, actually. That should be a very good discussion, especially in reference to that article that he put up on Rational Standard. Basically just about the corruption of academia, and there's a whole bunch of really dense subjects in there which sound like fun. No, Conscious, I'm looking forward to that. I'm going to watch that, or I'll be fast asleep. I can't promise anything.
Wait, what time? Tomorrow at 8. Yeah, I'll be up by then.
Yeah, tomorrow at 8.
There's only too much Octopath Traveler I can play, so.
Yeah, exactly. There's a limit. And then you mentioned Plato's Philosopher Kings. Yeah, that I remember the concept of, you have somebody who is wise in all domains and a good ruler, and he's like the person that is able to pull the whole ship in the right direction. The problem is, I don't know where the fuck those people are nowadays, but they're not here.
Completely unlistened to. They're here. They're just completely unlistened to.
2000 p.m. That's an interesting way to combine 24-hour and 12-hour time. But I think you mean 8 o'clock.
8 in the evening. I will be there. For the 4 people watching, I will be there.
Yeah, so
I'll enjoy our chat then. Yeah.
Yeah, I suspect.
Enjoy that chat.
Yeah, Quentin has much more to say that's actually sort of academic and philosophical. I'm starting to stumble my words.
And again, shout out to Mitchell for joining the chat again. You don't know where you're from, but thanks, Mitchell.
Totally snubbed him. I think I've seen him around on ZA Tech. It's that like a tech nerd Slack group, for which I should apologize because this is the worst tech podcast. I think it's actually our slogan. Hang on. What did I put on Twitter?
That is actually like the bulwark. Like, we're a bad tech podcast, and that's why we're allowed to be bad. Like, no.
It's a weekly tech podcast in which the guys barely ever talk about technology.
Oh, wait, hold on. Can I make fun of Phil DeFranco just real quick?
Please do.
One more meme for the week. Let's get right into it. Let's just jump into it.
Oh, no.
Let's just jump into it, guys. Let's just jump into it.
I like him, but also that's really fucking annoying. But it's his brand.
Jump into it.
It's his brand. It's like he has. Can you imagine though? Because
and always his chin is like in so much pain. Like let's just jump into it. No, dude.
So Conscious just linked us this very important article we have to talk about from the Babylon Bee, which is like the Onion but for Christians. So
death toll from Kavanaugh's first week on Supreme Court tops 330 million.
Literally died. So hang on.
I'm gonna say because they couldn't handle the keg party, bitches.
Death from keg overload. Yes, so millions perished instantly. This would literally make it the rapture by definition, because the rapture is the only event in Christian mythology where millions of people vanish immediately. So it happened, guys. If you're still here, you're in the bad place. I'm sorry to say.
And weirdly enough, the Christian faith is one of the few ones that actually has that concept of the rapture. Like if you look at Judaism, there's no magical thing where you all just get raptured up. No, it's a specifically Christian invention.
Fuck it. It's not even Scientology, because that's about the aliens coming to Earth, not necessarily going, oh my God, you're right.
The rapture is specifically a Christian invention, and it's a specifically post-Council of Nicaea invention.
That is a topic worth getting into.
They basically just invent, like if Stan Lee had the ultimate power, he said, I will invent this comic and everyone will believe it. It's called the Council of Nicaea.
You know what? So few people know history now that you could just do that. You could tell the actual story and people will think it's fake.
I don't think a lot of people who are hearing the words Council of Nicaea, or the 4 people who are hearing the words Council of Nicaea, actually know what that means.
Yeah, if I remember correctly, that's where they actually cobbled together the Bible, to put it bluntly.
Basically, they said these books are canon, this is not canon, whatever.
So it was kind of like a Marvel Studios production meeting, but for the Roman Catholic Church. Like,
yes.
To put a modern spin on that. What's sad is that they threw out a lot of interesting books. It wasn't like the Gospel of Mary and the Gospel of Judas, like in the rejected works. Yeah. Damn. I really hope time travel becomes a thing someday and we get to read the rest of those books. It should be interesting.
Oh, yes. Can we describe time travel for like 2 minutes?
2 minutes.
For like 5-10 minutes. Sorry, 5 minutes. Time travel, your takes on it.
Dude, I don't fucking know. Like, because, I mean, there's basically 2 schools of thought. Like, if you are able to travel back in time, then you... So here's... I don't know what this question is called. I forgot the name now.
Well, time travel implies that you can fix the grandpa paradox.
Okay, so...
My time travel question implies that you can fix the grandpa paradox.
So that's the thing that I'm still undecided on, because there's 2 possibilities, right? Either you travel back in time and you affect your own timeline, or you travel back in time, thereby creating a brand new timeline. And that's almost like the cardinal question, because depending on what the answer is to that, like the rest of the theory flows from it. If you affect your own past, then there's the grandpa paradox. But if you don't, if you create a new timeline at the point of jumping back, then you can do Back to the Future, the first movie, and it wouldn't make a difference. But also, the interesting thing that I think about time travel is that you also have to factor in space travel, because we're moving so fast through space that if you could take your exact position and move 1 second back in time, you'd find yourself floating in space, because that's how fast everything is moving.
Exactly.
So for anyone who tries to figure out time travel at some point in the future, good luck.
Okay, my take is, for starters, is obviously the camouflage aspect is that if we have the ability to travel back in time, we could probably peg down going back in time and not affecting our past if we have to. That's assuming we can only affect our own timeline. But in terms of superposition, my concept on that is, and again, I say this as a computer scientist and not as a physicist, you know what the weird thing about doing post-grad research is that it's a Dunning-Kruger effect, is that the further you go in, doing my master's, the further you go into research, the more you are inclined to doubt yourself and
I think that's
like sort of disclaimers, as I say now, in front of statements of scientific things. So again, I am going to say this disclaimer. I am a computer scientist. I have a certain understanding. I would say you either sort of in a superposition sort of thing affect your timeline, and that there's the whole thing with the split slit experiment that you affect some part of the wave, but you don't affect the entire wave. Okay. So you like this wave, this part of the wave, and these are the parts of the wave that I affect. And that's the thing.
Is this drunk physicist Wotan? Because I will say this, that feminism has really impacted science, because I have to end up on that meme, which isn't even a fucking meme, but...
Please don't do this.
I'm sorry.
Awesome. Thank you for classifying us as alt-right now. We're going to get tagged as alt-right on...
No, it's like, I think people should think for themselves, which means I'm alt-right already. I mean, doesn't matter what I do. But no, I thought that was pretty fascinating because related to that, somebody wrote an academic paper on the internet and networks and daemons without actually understanding a fucking thing about how the internet works. So they took the names and the concepts and then weaved them into the story that kind of doesn't make sense, and then posted the whole thing as an academic research paper. I will post it on Twitter because I think it will make for entertaining and somewhat depressing reading. But you see, quantum physics, you can just, you can bring any concept in and just like, yeah.
It's either that, or when you go back in time, when you affect the timeline, what you're actually doing is just shifting to a different timeline. You're not actually affecting the timeline. Every time you affect a timeline, you're just shifting to a different timeline that already existed.
Yeah, that's the whole, infinite parallel universes, everything.
Well, I mean, in terms of, and now I'm going into some really serious mathematical theory.
Just want to announce, this is Drunk Physicist Wotan, everybody. This is Double Whiskey Wotan in action. Hit it.
Thank you. Well, I deserve it. It's been a long week. In terms of mathematics, as I've tweeted before, when you have the concept of infinite time, anything that has a tiny possibility of happening will happen. And few people really grasp what that means. When you have infinite time, anything that can happen, as long as the probability is not zero, it doesn't matter how many 0.000s you put in front of it, it's going to happen. It's absolutely certain. So my thing is, every time you affect a timeline, what you're really doing is just shifting to a different timeline that's happening, and the person of you from that timeline shifts elsewhere.
Yep, which I'm pretty sure was a Star Trek episode that involved Worf and his visor.
But not Q?
Not Q. Q never did parallel realities across any of the Star Trek canon.
Really?
Really.
That's mildly disturbing to me.
No, parallel reality was always just a thing for the Enterprise and the crew. It was never a thing that had any real impact.
I'm glad that we've only got one dislike on our current stream.
That's fine. I don't like the stream either. I mean, I'll just go undo that quickly. Hang on. So I do feel sorry for anyone who thought this was a tech podcast, but I do indicate that we never talk about tech. Oh man, okay, so I'm just trying to think. There was like there's nothing else this week that I actually cared to
aside from the horrendous A-class facelift, which it hurts me so bad. It does.
I'm sorry.
It does. It personally hurts me because it's like
someone took a thing you love and just ruined it.
It's like if the head cheerleader from school, that super hot girl, was combined with that super non-noticed girl who was just the greatest person on the inside, and they combined that into a car, and that's what the A-class was. And then they just had her run into a wall, so she had to have like reconstructive nose surgery and braces and all that. And now the face is just horrendous, but inside she's still amazing.
I can't decide what's more torturous, the metaphor or the subject of your metaphor. In either case, it communicates your feelings about the new A-class extremely well.
I'm deeply hurt by it. I'm personally hurt.
You should start a hashtag on Twitter or something.
I think we should actually try maybe have some tech subjects like prepared for next week.
Well, I wanted to talk about the Facebook privacy breach, but then I realized as I started the call, I completely lost interest in that because fuck it, no one has privacy anyway. Like it's just
There's a quote by Sun CEO about that as well. CEO's son.
The sheer amount of aggregate incompetence in data security across the entire internet has meant that everyone's data has been breached at least once. Like there's no...
I think privacy at this point is mostly, for most people, the illusion of privacy.
Yeah. Yeah, there's also...
The illusion of privacy. Most of the people out there have had their data propagated by certain agencies. I think privacy at this point is just...
There's a guy...
The illusion of privacy.
So I follow a bunch of And actually, yeah, we're coming up on an hour. Yeah. So I'll make this the last thing. I follow a bunch of people who are sort of, I don't want to use the word fanatic, but they are fanatics with Bitcoin. Like these sort of the hardcore kind of, the people that actually work on the code and shit, like these really hardcore people. And one of them is this insane, paranoid, like privacy nut. And I say nut with like, I'm not making this up. This dude legitimately thinks assassins are coming after him. So every now and then he tweets photos of the assault rifle he keeps next to his desk while he codes. That guy.
Okay.
And
this
they
like an adjusted individual.
Yeah, no, I'm sure it's perfectly healthy. But what they keep pointing out is how like privacy is gone. And anytime they try and do something because they value their privacy, it's such a huge schlep. And the example he gave was, and maybe it was just an apocryphal story, but it's the kind of thing that would happen to him, where he tried to buy a ticket for an amusement park and he gave like a fake name, a fake number, and a fake email address. And they asked him why, and he's like, because he values his privacy. So then they just canceled the ticket. Because only terrorists would do that. Like at this point, if you're that super into your privacy, there's probably a very good reason why. So it's crazy.
I've got to be honest, the last time I traveled to the States last year, just the fact that I had to get a hand job from an absolute stranger I had to get an over the pants hand job. This is even before I scored in America. Like this is before I approached a single girl in America. I had to get an over the pants hand job from a stranger in gloves.
But was it at least an attractive stranger at the TSA gate?
Yeah, he seemed all right looking, but he's not the kind of guy I'd approach in a bar. Anyway,
no, you know what? I'm now like I've got a US visa, but I'm kind of scared to travel there again, just because of they decided to clamp down on border security by asking people to submit their social media profiles and stuff. And these people have no sense of humor or technology when they pass through it. So. But no, I've had the TSA pat down in front of the queue. And the reason I had the TSA pat down, this is the last story, is because I had a bottle of Amarula with me. And Amarula is like this, it's like a opaque liquid in a brown bottle. So their super secret, expensive bottle scanning machine couldn't determine if there were any explosives inside. So because of that, they had to give me the full pat down in front of the whole queue. So if I just bought vodka, I'd have been fine. Go figure. So I do feel sorry for anyone going through TSA. It's not fun.
The X-ray machine conscious talking about what? EFF memes.
Oh, dude, that Adam Casavelos guy, he just vanished. Oh, you know what the real meme is? Is all the people that are like hardcore EFF supporters who honestly bought into the narrative that the EFF is anti-corruption are now facing this. And it's like, oh my God, my life is over sort of thing. Which is like, if you had listened to people at the start, you wouldn't be surprised right now.
What? Also, shout out to anyone who watches the stream and actually figures out what game my hat is from.
StarCraft. No.
Instant automatic follow. I will not say yes or no, but anyone who guesses where it's from.
Find another obscure reference to the game and tweet it at him, and that's an instant follow. There we go.
Yeah. It's an instant follow. I'll give you a follow. I will give you my phone number and all that.
Okay. I think we have to get drunk Wotan off the air. He's starting to. he's going to perjure himself.
Yeah.
All right. So we made it through an hour. No,
We did. Thanks to, as much as I hate to admit this, Internet Explorer, and I think a lot of you are enjoying this right now. This immense pain that I'm going through saying this.
So yeah, sincere thanks to our sponsors, Microsoft, for producing a browser that actually worked when we needed it to work. We'll never talk about Microsoft again, I promise.
Please, never.
All right, so I think we'll be back same time next week, eh?
Yeah, thank you, everyone. Cheers.
Thanks. On time this time, we promise. We'll test beforehand.
Peace, man.